Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is a short grounding practice. It's really that simple. And we're going to start with a very simple breath exercise here. So you can go ahead and settle into your seat. So, one of the simplest ways to affect change with your nervous system, to go for that, what we call grounding, feeling in body and mind and spirit and nervous system, is really very simple. It's just to extend the length of your exhale phase of the breath. So that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to begin. So as you're ready, settle into a nice comfortable seat here. You can sit up on a cushion if you'd like, right onto the floor, even against a wall. And then once you're comfortable in your body, let your eyes slide closed and begin not by changing the breath, but by simply watching the breath. Simply watching the breath creates a kind of toehold for your awareness, for your focus, so that if you're coming in from a sort of midday activity, or you're just kind of a little scattered feeling, or you just have a lot going on mentally, you use that toehold observation of the breath to just begin to bring your awareness in and to bring your system, kind of settle it down a bit. In a very gentle way now, begin to gradually elongate the breath, both sides of the breath, the inhale and the exhale. And to notice on the exhalations a feeling of sinking your hips. And to notice on the inhalations a feeling of lifting and rising through the whole trunk, spine, and head. And now, very gradually, begin to focus a little bit more your awareness on the exhalation phase of your breath. And in doing so, to elongate the exhalation bit by bit, really gently, kind of a stealth maneuver here, really gradually pulling more length into the exhale phase of your breath. And if it's helpful, we certainly do this a lot, you can count to give yourself a little more guidance. You can count the breath, extending the exhale phase by a second every 2 or 3 cycles of breath. But spend a little bit of time here exploring that extension of the exhalation. And then for the last few moments that we're here, as you exhale, gently draw your abdominal wall back and emphasize the sinking sense of your seat, of your sit bones. The inhale's normal and free, and the exhale's longer as you gradually draw the abdominal wall back and sink your sit bones. Make sure there's no tension, sort of adjacent tension collecting in the neck, or the jaw, or around your eyes. And then begin to release those actions, let go of those actions. Feeling the restoration of your natural, spontaneous breath. And then as you're ready, open your eyes. Been sitting this way for quite a while, so switch the cross of your legs the other way. And then we'll take it into a gentle forward fold from here. So walking the hands forward, you may wish to have a block. So a block can be used underneath your head or underneath your arms as you come forward, or you can simply kind of let the chin drop slightly and let your head dip forward. I do want you to prioritize dropping your head onto something, whether that's the floor or a block or a cushion, a piece of furniture, a chair. To really let the weight of your head sink and drop. And then slowly walk your hands back to come up, and we'll swap the legs back to what's probably more comfortable. Certainly is for me. And then again, walk the hands forward, forehead dropping to a block or the floor or a chair or another piece of furniture. And throughout this practice, you can kind of sense the residue of that extended exhalation phase of your breath. Not exaggerating it, but just maybe slightly slowing the exhales down when you notice. And then again, walk your hands back up. And we'll move from here into some gentle lunging. You can continue to use the blocks if you'd like, and you can use a blanket underneath the back knee if that's helpful. So you can bring the blocks under your hands if you're using them. If you don't need them, you can set them to the side. And bring your right foot forward. Come into a simple lunge. And sense, so lunges can be very grounded or lunges can be super, the other way, lifting up. So sense here the feeling of dropping through the hips and a slight drop of the chin towards your chest as well. A sense of the right heel dropping and the back knee. And then we'll shift to a half split from here. So as you extend the front leg, straighten out the knee, draw the right hip back, bring the blocks to where they're going to continue to support your hands if you're using blocks. Take a moment to lengthen the crown of the head forward and then take a little bit of a drop. It might be a very little drop, or you may, depending on time of day and your own hamstrings, be able to drop your forehead to your shin or your knee. Noticing again the exhale phase of your breath, the weight of the skull, the soft release of your neck. And then your head, we'll switch over to the other side, bringing the right knee back, left foot forward. And again, as you kind of sink into this lunge, sink but don't push into the lunge, feel the hips dropping, let your chin drop slightly. Feel the left heel descending and the right knee. And then shifting back again to half split. You can move the blocks if you're using them so they continue to give good support under the hands. As you straighten the left leg, draw the left hip back and reach your chest forward. And you can stay here, but really nice to take a little bit of a drop forward, letting the head go. Or you can take a bigger drop forward depending on your hamstrings and time of day. Again, noticing the exhale phase of your breath. And then lifting, shifting, and just come to sit for a moment on your heels. Just really simply dropping both sit bones onto the heels as you let the arms relax, as you let the palms passively open. And then we'll make our way onto all fours. You can absolutely use a blanket if you want to pad the knees. Give yourself a little more comfortable ride for your kneecaps. As you come into tabletop position, situate the hands right under the wrists so you have good grounding through the hands, good grounding through the back, the tops of the feet and the knees and the lower legs. And then begin to undulate the spine, little gentle arch as you breathe in, pressing your hands and chin to chest as you round and breathe out. Very slowly, with a sense of continuity, continue this simple movement as you've done probably any number of times in any number of yoga classes. Letting your own pace dictate how fast or slow you're moving here. Your own breath dictate what's going on. And then begin to gradually extend the length of your exhale again, drawing abdominal wall back towards spine, chin toward chest, maybe holding at the bottom for a moment. Relatively normal inhale. And then again, the exhale extended and slower. A little pause at the bottom. And keep doing that on your own. At your own pace. And it shouldn't feel forceful, but it's sort of like a little punctuation mark at the end of the exhale. Just emphasizing the slow, steady drawing inward and downward. Do that one more time. And then as you release, separate the knees, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. Variation child's pose. As you come back to sit on the heels, you're going to interlace the fingers and place them across the back of your skull. Just really looking for a sense of almost like your hands are a little weighted blanket for the skull. then release and come up and set yourself up to go into your first downward facing dog pose. Taking time as you come into dog pose to move in the ways your body wants to move, to sense what's going on in your body, time of day, all of the things that are happening for you in your environment, both within your body and in the world around you. So spend a little bit of time in your dog pose, bending, straightening, shifting your weight around, but feeling in the quality of the movements a sense of arriving. And within that sense of arriving, a sense of increased grounding through the pose. Doesn't necessarily mean the heels come all the way to the floor. A lot else that has to happen for that to feel good and stable. But feeling again, sensing the exhalation phase of your breath. And then we're going to step one foot forward. So some of you are probably going to be more comfortable if you come to your knees first. So if you need to come to your knees, come down to your knees, and then the left foot's going to step forward. You can find your blocks again. Hop the back foot in a little bit, turn the back toes out enough to ground the whole of the foot. Pull the left hip back, reach your chest forward. Staying there might be perfectly enough. Or you can, again, draw your forehead. But even if you're here for today, let your head drop. And then if you can, comfortably, you can bow your forehead towards your shin. Lifting your head now, finding your blocks. If your hands moved off of the blocks, we're going to walk around to the center, turn our feet with us as we go. Look at your feet, see they're parallel. Blocks, if you have tighter hamstrings or inner thighs, are going to be helpful. If you don't need them, hands are flat to the floor. Stretch your chest forward for a moment and then let your head drop. If you're a little tighter, this is going to be where you stay. If you want to go a little deeper, you can walk the hands back and bring the very top of your head toward the floor. And then lifting your head, lengthening back out through your spine. Walk your hands back around to the top of your mat. Either dropping the back knee to transition to dog pose or simply stepping the left foot back, coming into downward facing dog. Pausing here. Attention shifting again and again to the exhalations. Letting the inhalations take care of themselves. Bending the knees, dropping to your knees, coming into child's pose. Either the version before where we drape the hands across your head, or more traditional extended arms, extended child's pose. And then from your child's pose, back through all fours and into downward facing dog. And from your dog pose or coming onto all fours first, step the right foot through. Remember, you can find your blocks wherever they be. Bring them with you. And from here, hop the back foot in a little bit so you can turn the toes out and ground the whole of the back foot. Pull the right hip back. Lengthen the chest forward, the whole spine forward, but then pause for a moment, even if you're going to go into a folded position, to just let the head go. And you can stay there, or you can come into a deeper fold, depending on your hamstrings. Again, shifting your awareness periodically to the exhalations, to notice what you notice. What does it feel like to slightly elongate your exhalations? And then lifting your head, walk your way back around to the center, making the 2 feet parallel, blocks if they're helpful under the hands. Initially stretching the chest forward and the crown of the head forward, and then either staying here but letting your head drop. Not your upper spine, not your middle spine, just your head. Or if you're a little more flexible, you can walk the hands back and bring the crown of the head to or toward the floor. Lifting your head once again, walk your hands back around to make your way into child's pose, either version or some other version entirely as you choose. But it's sort of the sense in the exhale, or in the coming to child's pose rather, of just kind of tucking yourself back in. Press yourself back into downward facing dog. Step or walk your feet forward to your hands. Find your blocks if they're helpful for underneath your hands as you come into standing forward fold. And again, let your head drop. So you might well be up here, but let your head drop, not the upper back, middle back, if you're tighter in particular, or if you're working with some back stuff. But let the head drop. And then the folding further forward. That's, if it feels stable for you, go for it. With each exhalation, again, noticing this intention of elongation through the exhale, this emphasis on the exhale of drawing inward and down. And then lengthening back out through the spine, fingertips to the floor or to the blocks. Bring your feet right together so they're both right underneath you. And take the left leg back behind you in a half standing split. So not cranking on it here, not taking the leg way, way up, really bringing it to about hip level and staying there, pausing. And then lower your left foot to the floor and take the right leg up. right foot and bring hands to hips and come to stand. So standing for a moment in mountain pose, feet about hip distance apart, arms just dropped by your side, sensing a feeling of easy lift through the trunk and through the skull lifting up, but a really palpable sense here of grounding through the feet and the legs at the same time. Breath comes easy and natural. But feeling, sensing a little more the exhale phase of your breath. The sense of pouring, grounding weight and energy down through the feet and the legs. And with your hands on your hips, just a little, kind of like a baby chair pose, bend the knees just a little bit. Very slowly straighten. As you do that a few times, the hands can stay on the hips, or the hands can reach forward, or the arms can reach up. There are lots of ways to go with this. Your focus really on dropping through the hips and the feet and the legs as you bend, keeping that sense of groundedness and weight through the feet and legs as you re-straighten the legs. So bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And then we'll bend and stay. When you come up, you're going to bring the right knee up to take a little balance on our way into tree pose. The left hand can just come to your hip. Open the knee to the side. And bring the foot against the inner thigh. And hands to prayer. And as you contemplate here the grounding of your tree, equal parts, it's the left foot grounding into the floor, into the earth, but it's also the right foot and left leg merging and grounding in toward the center. Bringing the knee back to center, we're going to step the right foot way back behind for a lunge. Make sure you got space behind there and no small animals. Luckily, he's on this side. As you come into a lunge, you can put a little bit of bend in the back knee. For some of us, that's going to feel more stable. Pause here with the hands at heart center. Take both arms up. Extending fully through the back leg, lean forward. As you're leaning forward, lift the belly a bit, lift the arms against gravity to the extent they will. Ground through the left heel, very important. And then the hands touch down. You can grab your blocks if they're helpful. Hop the back foot in. Again, pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. So left hip draws back. Chest reaches forward. Let your head relax. Either stay there or bring your forehead towards your left shin. On an inhale, stretch back out through the spine. Walk yourself again around to Prasarita Padottanasana. So draw the feet apart so they're parallel and wide. And then this time, hands can come either to your outer shins. Just don't be right on the knees. Or you can slide the hands down a little bit lower. Stretch the chest forward. Let your head go. Maybe stay right there. Or pulling with the hands, bring the top of the head toward the floor. And then stretching the chest forward again, turn back around to face the top of your mat. Little hop with the back foot to come back into a half standing split, holding here for a moment. And then lower your right foot down toward the floor. Bend both knees, let your head drop, let your arms drop, let your shoulders drop, and pressing your heels down slowly, roll through the spine, keeping the head heavy. Breathing, but noticing particularly exhalations, until you finally unfurl all the way to the top, standing mountain pose, breathing. And then similarly, from mountain pose, hands can be on the hips or forward or extending upward. Bend the knees just a little. Straighten. And as you're doing this, bending, straightening, slowly dropping a little bit deeper, hips and heels moving back and down, and sensing the weight dropping down through the legs and the hips, and keeping that sense of down even as you extend up and straighten the legs. And then come into chair pose and stay and hold. And as you come up, preparing for tree pose, bring your left knee up, hold the knee, right hand can come to your hip. Open the left knee to the left. Bring the left foot against the right inner thigh and prance to prayer. So I talked about on the first side, the feeling of grounding, pouring energy down through that standing foot. The matched sense of grounding where your left foot and your right thigh meet. And then an additional kind of source of grounding is the two hands pressing together. Noticing the exhales, maybe slightly slower. Then turning back to center with that left knee, hovering in a little balance for a moment, making sure there's nothing back there in your way. Had to look. Step the left foot way back again into a simple lunge position. Again, you can bend the back knee a little bit more if you need more stability for your front hip or lower back. And then arms reaching up. And then as you lean forward, fully extending out through that back knee now. Feeling a little lift through the belly, arms lifting against gravity, front heel super grounded. Hands touching down to the floor or blocks if you're using them. Hop the back foot in again to find pyramid pose. Draw the right hip back, ground through the whole of the left foot. Extend the chest out in front of you, nice long spine. With your spine still long, just let your head drop as if just with gravity. And either stay or gently bow your forehead towards your shin. And then lifting head and chest. We'll again walk our way back around to the center. Take a look at your feet as you travel and place them so they're wide and parallel. Hands onto the floors. the floor or the blocks. Chest and spine extending forward initially, keeping that extension through the spine. Let your head relax and drop. And either stay there or walk your hands onto some part of the outer leg and bring the crown of the head toward the floor. Stretching the chest forward, hands to the floor, the blocks. Turn back around, walk yourself back around to the top of your mat. And a little hop to come into a half standing split with the left leg rising, hip height. Just for a few moments. And lower your left foot next to the right. Bend both knees. Drop your head, drop your arms, drop your shoulders. Press the heels as you slowly roll up to standing, keeping a soft bend in the knees. And slowly unfurling the spine. And coming to stand again in mountain pose. And then just take a moment in mountain pose to feel, let your eyes close, to feel that sense of dropping and grounding down through the feet and the legs. A sense of lightness and lift through the chest and the throat. Noticing the exhalations. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Take the feet wide apart. Have a block at each side of your mat. We'll do just a few poses, standing poses, warrior variations, and such. So, feet wide apart. Turn your right toes to the right, your left heel back. Now you can bring the block to the outside of the right foot. Sweep the arms wide. Breathe in. As you exhale, slowly bend the knee, like micro movements here. Very, very, very slow bend of the right knee. As you're bending the right knee, feel how the body wants to sort of follow the knee and chase the knee. So as you're bending the knee, keep bringing your torso back over the hips, resisting the left hand back as if toward a far wall. Sinking and lowering. You can adjust the feet if you sense that your front knee is getting beyond the ankle, and stay. And sense here not just the grounding of the right leg and right heel, but that powerful grounding out through the back foot as well. You can turn your head or not. Very, very slowly straighten through the right leg. And then shift the front hip back. Now we are going to reach the arm out over that right leg. And you're going to know when you've gone sort of to the limit of what's comfortable for you. And bring the block under your hand to meet the hand, the top arm up. Now for a moment, turn your gaze down, look down. And allow the left hip, rather than trying to force it open, allow the left hip to roll a little bit forward. Not all the way, but just sort of, a lot of us get in the habit of kind of cranking on that hip. So allow the left hip to roll forward a little bit. And then powerfully pressing into the back edge of the back foot, begin to rotate your navel, your chest, and your face toward the left hand and look up. Strong and steady. Turning just your head to look down first. See your foot, see your knee. Very slowly begin to bend the right knee as you lift through the back arm to make your way slowly, grounding through both feet back to Warrior Two. And now, this time, do turn your head to look out over the right hand. And then come all the way up. Turn your right toes in. Turn your left toes toward the short edge of your mat. Back heel back a little bit. Then again, it's very slow. Slow, slow bend of the front knee. You may need to adjust the feet as you go here. Slow, slow bend of the front knee. Notice if the body's trying to follow the knee and instead resist back with the back hand. Dropping into a deep bend through the knee. You can either turn your head or keep your head centered here. And then really just as slowly, maybe not quite as slowly, slowly straighten out the front leg. As that leg becomes straight, the front hip draws back. Remember, we're letting the right hip roll a little bit forward, not exaggerating it, but just kind of letting it follow its own natural range. Left hand dropping onto the block, or the shin if you don't have a block there. And then take the arm up, but look down for a moment. And then begin to turn by moving your belly button, your chest, and your face slowly pivoting up toward the top arm. And then to come up, look down first. And again, slowly bending the knee, floating the left arm up, powerfully grounding through both feet as you bring yourself back to Warrior Two. As you find the pose and you settle and you feel stable, turn your head to look out over the left hand and stay. And then straighten both legs, drop your arms, walk your feet in, and stand in mountain pose. And just taking a moment, eyes soft or closed, to feel energy pouring down through the feet and the legs, and an easy light lift through the trunk, across the space of the chest and the throat. And then as we open our eyes, stand up near the top of the mat and fold into a forward fold Uttanasana, hands to the floor or to the blocks. Let your head drop. Walking your feet back, come into downward facing dog. And then from dog pose, come forward into plank. And as you stay here in plank, lift the belly up, lift the space between the shoulder blades. Keep pressing your hands into the floor to generate that lift through the front of the body. And then tap your knees to the floor. Make your way all the way down onto your belly and up onto the forearms. Sorry, Tico, love. And come into Sphinx pose. Not a big back bend in Sphinx pose, and this is definitely not a back bendy kind of practice. If this feels like too much even here, you just slide the elbows forward a few inches. Now where's the grounding here? Through the forearms, through the inner wrists, through the tops of the feet, through the tailbone. Here too, you can let the chin drop today. And then you can either stay with your arms just as they are. If you have weird shoulders like me, it might be more comfortable to interlace the fingers, pressing the outer forearms into the floor. If you do that, turn the toes under and then lift into plank. Again, this time on the forearms. And tap your knees down, all the way down, all the way to your forehead. And just bring the hands anywhere they're comfortable for now. Pressing the tops of the feet into the floor. Come onto your fingertips like Spider-Man. Bring the hands wide outside your sticky mat so that your hands are a little wider to your shoulders, and then lift into Cobra here. Again, it's not a super back bendy practice, so if that feels like a lot in your back, you come down lower. You don't want any strain in the back. And then release, come all the way down. Use your hands to slowly push and press back and come into child's pose, either extended child's pose or any other variation through the arms. But again, prioritize letting your head drop onto something, the floor or block. And then we'll come up and lie onto your back. And as you come onto the back, we're going to take hold of the right knee, draw the right knee in, just take an easy clasp of the upper shin. As you draw the right knee towards your chest, press out strongly through the left heel to continue to ground the left leg and left hip. Make sure shoulders, jaw, and neck are relaxed. Taking time in this relatively comfortable, relaxed position to again bring your awareness to the exhalation. And what's it like to extend your exhalation? And then simply interlace the hands at the back of your right leg to the extent that you can. Straighten out through the right leg. And then we'll release. Straighten the right leg out and draw the left shin in, draw the left knee in. Elongating out through the right leg and pressing the whole of the right leg and heel into the floor. Feeling through a slightly slower breath, a slightly slower exhale, a sense once again of grounding. And then interlacing the hands at the back of your left thigh to the extent that you can straighten, straighten. Release, draw both knees to your chest. Just rock a little from side to side. Keep it light and loose. And then rock yourself up to sit and take a couple of blocks. Bringing one block for under your head on its middle height. Another block for under your upper back shoulder blades and the lower height. When you lie back here, this gentle heart opener, soles of the feet will be together. Make sure you adjust the blocks so that you're able to fully release your head and your neck, and then take the arms far enough away from the sides of the body that there's this sense of the chest spilling off to the sides. And even here, as you close your eyes, we're giving ourselves this little gentle lift through the chest, which suggests inhalation more than exhalation. But even here, see if you can dial into the exhale phase of your breath. So you feel, again, you're in touch with that sense of grounding through the whole of the exhale. And it's you sustain that feeling of grounding even as you inhale and feel your chest lift. And we'll stay here about another minute or so. From here, slowly bring your knees back up and your feet flat to the floor. Carefully press yourself up to your seat. You can roll to one side if that feels less awkward. And we're just going to move your blocks out of the way. And when you come onto your back again, take the feet wide apart and pigeon toe your toes, your feet, and lean the knees one against the other. And bring one hand to rest near your belly and one hand to rest near your heart. As you let your eyes close, again, once it's comfortable to do so, consciously slow your your exhales. And feel through the course of your exhalations the weight of your hands, where they're resting, whether they're warm or cool. And then releasing your hands, bring the hands together and rub them, creating a little bit of friction, a little bit of heat. And then bring the hands to rest along, just gently pressing the bony rim around your eyes, not your eyes themselves. And then finally release your hands all the way to the floor. Extend your legs out on the floor. Make sure you have everything you need to be comfortable for Shavasana. Any last minute adjustments as you settle in. And then take Shavasana for as long as you'd like. Rest as long as you can get away with here in Shavasana. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.